Not anymore. I got a mic. So no more whisper, whisper, quiet videos. You don't have to turn your volume up when you watch me anymore. You don't gotta go find your headphones when you watch me anymore. Because I have a mic. Hey guys. Oh, hey guys. So I'm editing right now and the audio is really muffled. Like I guess the mic was lopsided or I just can't win. Yeah, the audio is really muffled, so I do apologize. But you can hear what I'm saying. Like it's not like it's garbage. It's not that bad. It's a little bit muffled. So a little disclaimer, you probably do still need your headphones. I'm sorry. Forgive me, please. But next video, I will make sure I got the mic right here so that y'all can hear me good. But yeah, thanks for bearing with me, guys. I'm so sorry about that. I'm so sorry. I love you. Okay, so today I am doing a tutorial on my granny square skirt pattern. Bro, where did my skirt go? Who stole? Here's the skirt we're gonna be making today. And you kind of have to trust the process with this one because it looks kind of weird when it's not on. But I promise you, when you put it on, your life will be changed. Here it is. It's really cute. All it is 12 granny squares. So yeah, I think we can just get into the video of the skirt. I'll put like a little video over here of what it looks like on because this isn't the best visual representation, but yeah. Okay, guys. I got a mic and I don't know how to. Alright, guys. Cue the materials. So, the materials we need for this skirt is some yarn, scissors, and a crochet hook. I'm using a 4.25 millimeter crochet hook, and the yarn I'm using is Big Twist 100% acrylic yarn in the color soft gray. So basically the makeup of this skirt is 12 of these starburst granny squares. You're going to make a magic circle. So basically to make a magic circle, you take your yarn, 2 fingers, wrap it around, go under, pick up that yarn under, whatever, and then you make a little circle like this. From there, you're going to chain 2, and you're going to work 16 double crochets into the circle. So here's 1, 2, 3, and when you're doing this, you kind of want to keep your attention looser because we're going to be fitting 16 into the circle, which is a lot. Normally you do like 10, so you want to keep your attention pretty loose. There's 3, 4, and I'll be back whenever I have 16. Okay, so once you've done 16, you're going to close your magic circle by pulling that tail, and then you're going to do a slip stitch into that first double crochet of the row. So I'll just go in and slip stitch to close my circle like this. So to start the next row, you're going to chain 2, yarn over, and we're going to go into that same stitch we slip stitched in. And I'm going to be working over the tail. This is optional. We're going to pull up a loop, and we're going to go back into that, stitch again, pull up a loop, and then you're going to pull through all of these. You should have 5 loops. Pull through all 5. And that was only the circumstance for the first stitch because we used our chain as a double crochet. So now for the rest of the stitches, we're going to be doing the same thing but with 1 more. So yarn over, don't chain anything, go into that stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go into that stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go into that same stitch, pull up a loop. Then we're going to pull through all of these stitches. It should be 7. We're going to put through all 7 of those stitches. And it can be tricky, which is why you want to keep your tension pretty loose. We're going to do that again. So yarn over, go into the next stitch 3 times, yarn over, that's 2, yarn over, that's 3, pull through all 7, and just keep doing this until you get to the end of your row. And I will be back to show you guys what that looks like. So I finished all of my clusters, and I'm going to count them to make sure that I have 16. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So perfect. So now we're going to work our next row of clusters, which is also the last, which is this row, and it's a little bit different. Now we're going to slip stitch into the chain. So you just kind of wiggle your hook in there, slip stitch, and boom. So now we're going to work the next row. So now we're going to yarn over, go in between the first 2 clusters we did in the last row, and it should just be where you slip stitched. Pull, insert your hook, pull up a loop, pull through 2 stitches on your hook, yarn over again, pull up a loop, pull through 2 again, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2 again, and then one more time, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2, and you should have 5 on your hook. You're gonna go through all 5, and now for the rest of them, we're going to be doing 6. So we only did 5 there because we used the chain as a stitch. So for the next row, we're going to chain 2, or for the next cluster, and then you're going to find the middle of your next 2 clusters, which is right here. We're going to yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, pull through 2. And we're going to do this 5 times. So that's 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you should have 6 stitches on your hook. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to yarn over, pull through all 6, chain 2, and do the same thing all the way across. So I'll show you guys one more time. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pull through all 6, chain 2, and just continue that all the way around, and you should have 16 of these clusters. So I've just finished all of my clusters. Make sure you have 16 because the next row won't work out unless you have 16. So I did my last chain 2, and I'm going to work into that first double crochet with the slip stitch. And now we're done with all of our clusters. Now we're going to start working the border. So first we're going to chain 3, and we're going to work a treble crochet into that first gap. So yarn over twice, go in there, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and that chain 3 counted as a stitch, so we're only going to do 1 more of those into that same stitch. And then we're going to chain 1, and we're going to do 3 more into that stitch, treble crochets. So here's 1, here's 2, and here's 3. And now we're not chaining or anything, we're just going to go straight into the next gap with 3 double crochets to that same stitch. And then we're going to do 3 half double crochets into that next stitch, that next gap, sorry. Then again 3 double crochets into the next gap. And then we're going to work another treble crochet corner. So yarn over twice, go and do 3 treble crochets into that same stitch. Oh, there's a hair. Chain 1, do 3 more into that same stitch. And we're just going to be repeating that same pattern. So next is the 3 double crochets into the next gap. 3 half double crochets to the next one. 3 double crochets into the next one. And then we're going to do our 6 trebles with a chain 1 in the middle. So here's 1 treble, 2, 3, chain 1, 3 more, 1, 2, 3, Then we're going to do 3 double crochets into the next gap. 3 half doubles into the one after that. 3 doubles. 3 trebles. Chain 1, 3 more trebles. Then we're going to do 3 doubles. Three half doubles. 3 doubles. After you do 3 doubles, work a slip stitch in that first treble crochet we did in the round. Chain 1, cut off your yarn, pull through, and boom, we have our first square. This is what it should look like. I recommend blocking your squares. I didn't, but I did. I don't have a blocking board, so what I did was I just like flattened them out as much as I can and kind of stretched them out. And I kind of put my fingers into the little chain 1 spaces that are in between the treble crochets and just pull that and really try to make it look square. And yeah, you're gonna make 11 more of these squares, or you can make more if you're bigger and you want your skirt to be a little bit bigger or longer. You can make more squares, but my pattern is 3 across on the bottom, 3 across on the top, and then also on the back, so it's 6 and then 6. But if you want to add more, you could do, if you have bigger hips, wider hips, then you could do more granny squares across, or if you want your skirt to be longer, you could do more granny squares vertically. I hope that made sense. But yeah, I'll be back when I finish all my granny squares and we can start connecting them and working on the mesh. So now that we finished all 12 of our squares, we're going to start connecting them. And to connect them, I use single crochet, but you can use slip stitches or a darning needle. Just use whatever you find more comfortable. But I like to use slip stitches, or I like to use single crochets because I love the way it looks. So basically the way we're going to be connecting these squares is we're going to have 3 going across on top and bottom. And then we're going to have 3 going on top. So you'll have like behind you in front of you. So it'll be like this. And then we're going to do these sides. We're going to use mesh stitch because if the skirt fits you like this, then you can just connect them and leave them at that. But the skirt would be a little too small for me if I just left it like this. So I like to add mesh on the sides so it's a little more comfortable. So I'm going to show you guys how to connect them. So to start, I'm just going to be connecting this right here. So we're just going to be connecting all the way across and it'll connect the 6 of these. So to do this, take your crochet hook and then you can just get one of your squares. I like to keep mine laid out so that I know what I'm doing. And you can just go into your square, go into the last stitch before the corner, just somewhere around the corner, and connect that with a double knot, like so. Insert your hook, and then you're going to take your other square, insert in the exact same stitch that you are in this one, so that's right before the gap. And then I'm working over my tails. You don't have to, but I like to. It just makes it easier so I don't have to sew in as much. But here's how you connect. So we're going to start by pulling up a loop, and we're going to be working into the front loops only because it makes the stitch look very defined, and I love the way that looks. But if you don't want your stitch to look as defined, then you can just work in both loops. So to do this, you're going to go into the gap, and there's no loop in the gap, so you just go straight into the gap, pull up a loop, single crochet, and then for our stitches, there's 2 there's the V. We're going to be going into that first V on that one. And then on the second one, we're going to be going into the back V. So just like this. And then you pull up a loop, single crochet, and you just keep doing that. So front loop, back loop, single crochet. Front loop, back loop, single crochet. And this kind of takes a little bit of time because it's very specific, but it makes the outcome so beautiful. Like, let me show you guys. This is what it looks like, and I don't know why, I just love the way this looks so much. It's like an extra stitch in the middle, and it also makes your skirt a little bigger, so then it can fit a little better because the squares are quite small. So unless you have pretty small hips, then I suggest doing this so you can get a little more stretch and the skirt can be a little bit bigger. And all your stitches should match up, but if they don't, then that's okay. Just try to make it as even as possible. I also love doing single crochets because you can work over the tail, but slip stitches you really can't. So it just makes the end process a lot easier. So now I'm getting towards the end and I'm reaching this gap. I'm just going to go into the gap on both sides, single crochet. And then I like to go one stitch after the gap because I feel like it just makes it look more, I feel like it gives it more security. So I always go one after the gap, and then you can go ahead and get your next two squares. Connect right before the gap. I always like to go right before the gap and right after the gap.
But basically,
going into that
I was
back
showing you
loop,
guys
into that
what
front
it should
loop,
look like and how I did it for both panels.
and then I'm just going
And
to
now
pull tight on my yarn, make sure everything is nice and tight,
the
and then
connecting
just single
the
crochet
top
that,
and bottom of
and just continue this process.
the squares. So to do that, we're just doing the same thing, except
Single
we're gonna have to fasten off and reattach.
all the way
So
across.
here I'm just attaching my yarn in the stitch before the gap with a double knot. And then
so
I'm just going in.
I'm going to keep this going, and then I'm going to
just
connect these, and then
what we were just doing, working
I'll do the
into
same thing
first and
with
the
my
last
next
loops of
6
our
squares connecting
stitches, and
across,
just working
and then
all
I'll
the
be
way
back to show you
down
guys what to do
those
next.
2 squares. And then here you'll see when I got to the middle and it was like kind of a big chunk, what I did was worked into the stitch right before the the chunk, and then the stitch right after. So I basically just worked over it instead of working through it, and that just creates a lot of a better and more cleaner cut line, I guess you could say. So I'm finishing off and I'm just doing my single crochet into the stitch after the gap, and then chaining 1 and fastening off. So you're just gonna fasten off, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna connect your yarn and do the exact same thing on the other side, connecting those top and bottom squares, and then you're gonna do the exact same thing on the other skirt. So all your panels should be connected, or no, sorry, all your squares should be connected. You should have 2 panels of 6 squares.
So now that we finished the connecting bits, we're going to start working on the mesh sides. And to do this, where's my hook? I hate crocheting on my bed because I always lose my hook. To do this, just go into the corner, go into the stitch before the gap, and then we're going to connect our yarn with a double knot.
And then we're going to work single crochets going up this entire panel. So one into the gap and then one in all of the stitches. And this just makes it so that it'll look a little bit straighter when we add our mesh. And when we get to the middle, what I do is I just put a stitch right before the single crochets that we worked, and then one right after the single crochets that we worked. And then just keep going down, and I'll be back whenever I finish this. Okay, so I'm reaching the end. I'm going to work into the gap and then into the stitch after the gap. And now we can start doing our mesh. So to do this, you chain 3, turn your work, and we're going to be doing a double crochet, but we're going to be skipping the first 2 stitches, going into the third with a double crochet. Oh, sorry guys. It'll look like that. Then chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet into the stitch after. Chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet into the stitch after. And it should look like this, and we're going to keep doing this all the way down. Okay, just finishing up into that last stitch. And this is what it should look like. Now we're going to be chaining 3, and we're just going to be repeating this row for a couple of rows. So chain 3, and you're going to work into that gap with a double crochet. Chain 1, work into the next gap with a double crochet, and you're just going to be working into all the gaps with a double crochet and a chain 1 in the middle. And we're just going to keep doing this until the skirt fits around the side of our hips. And whenever I'm done, I'll show you guys what I mean by that, and I'll show you guys, or I'll tell you guys how many rows I ended up doing. So yeah, I'll be back in a jiffy. I just finished all my rows, and this is what it is looking like. And as you can see, the skirt is able to wrap around the side of my hips. So that's the goal. So for me, I did 5 rows, I believe. 1, 2, yeah, 5 rows. And that's how it fits me. And you're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. And then we're going to connect it all around and start working the top and the bottom of the skirt. And let me show you guys what we're at right now. So here's the first skirt I made. And as you can see, we just worked the sides. And we're going to work the other side and then connect it. And then we're going to work this mesh waist and then this bottom frilly part and then a waistband, and we're done with the skirt. So yeah, and just something to keep in mind, we're only going to be doing this mesh layering on one set of the pant, like on one panel. So we're just going to have mesh here, and then the other panel we're just going to connect it, and it's not going to have mesh on it. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, I'll see you guys whenever I finish this side. Okay, so I finished my panel with the mesh. Now we're going to connect our secondary panel to the sides of these mesh stitchings. So you're going to want to make sure both your panels are on the right sides, and then you can just put them together. And then we're going to be connecting them with single crochets. So you just put the 2 together like so, and we're going to go into that first stitch of the mesh stitching, like right here. We're going to be chaining 1, and then we'll go into it, so then you can fit your hook into there. And then you're going to go into the gap of the other panel and connect those with a single crochet. Then you're going to go into the gap of the mesh row and the second stitch, or the first stitch of the other panel, and connect it. And so basically you're going to be alternating between the gap and the stitch and the gap and the stitch on the mesh row, and then you're just going to be going to every stitch on this row. So into the gap and into the next stitch on this one, connect with a single crochet, and then we're going to go into the gap of the mesh row and into the next stitch of the second panel, connect, and then the stitch, stitch, connect, gap, stitch, connect, stitch, stitch, connect, gap, stitch, connect. And you're just going to keep this going all the way down, and it should match up, but if it doesn't, you can always skip a couple stitches on the one that's bigger, or just finagle it so it can work out. But yeah, just connecting with single crochets. And then once we finish doing this, we're going to fasten off, and then we're going to do the exact same thing on this side, connecting the mesh row with the squares. And then we'll start working on our waist part when we're done with all of that. So I'll meet you guys whenever I'm done, and we can move on to the next steps. Okay, so I just finished connecting all of the panels, and you can try it on now if you'd like, but keep in mind it's not going to be this short. We're going to add a couple more rows and it'll give it a little bit longer, but also keep in mind that it is a mini skirt, so it is going to be a little bit short, but not as short as it is right now. So now we're going to start working the waist, and the waist is the mesh paneling like this. And I just love the way this waist looks. I don't know, I'm obsessed with this. But this is definitely going to give it a lot more height so that you can wear it low rise or high rise, and you'll be able to adjust the length of the skirt with this little mesh paneling. So yeah, to get started, don't fasten off where you left your connecting your rows. If you did, it's okay, just do a double knot. And we're going to work a row of single crochets all the way around the perimeter of the skirt. So just working single crochets all the way around, and in the little gaps we're going to be just working, we're going to want to cinch the waist a little bit, so we're just going to work one single crochet into each gap, and then one into the these things. I don't really know what these double crochets are called, but one into the gap, one into there, one into the gap, one into there, or you could just do two in each gap if that makes it easier. But yeah, we're just going to be working two in those, and then one all the way across. And then I'll meet you guys whenever I'm done with that. So I just finished working all my single crochets. Oh, my knee popped, and it just makes the top look a lot cleaner. And so now I'm going to just slip stitch into my first single crochet, and then we're going to start working our mesh rows. So to do the mesh, we're just going to be repeating what we did here, and we're going to be working basically as many rows as you want. As you can see, I worked a lot of rows. For this skirt, I worked stitches on top of stitches, unlike on the sides how we worked in the middle of the stitches. So you can choose to work in the middle of the stitches, or you can work on top of the stitches. I'm going to be working on top of the stitches just because I like the way that looks for the waist. I feel like it just makes it look a lot cleaner, but both ways look amazing. So you can do whichever one you like. We can do what I showed you guys here or what I'm about to show you. So just chain 3, and then skip the next 2 stitches, including the one we worked in. So that's 1, 2, and then we're going to double crochet into the third, chain 1, skip a stitch, work into the next, chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet into the next, and we're just going to keep doing this until we get back around to our first double crochet. So keep working this stitch all the way around your skirt until we get back, and I'll show you guys how to do the next however many rows you'd like. Okay guys, so I just finished my first row, and to connect it back, instead of doing a slip stitch, I'm going to work a double crochet because I want to just work around and around and around without having to stop for slip stitches because it makes it look a lot cleaner. So I'm just gonna go around my hook, and I'm gonna work into that chain with a double crochet, and it is going to make a little bit of a big gap here, but as you keep working, you're not even going to notice it. Like when you wear the skirt, you won't notice it, so don't worry too much about that. So now just chain 1, and instead of working into the gap, we're going to be working into the next double crochet, so into this stitch right here with a double crochet, chain 1, work into the next double crochet, chain 1, And we're just going to keep working into all of the double crochets. All the way around. And you're just going to keep going around and around and around and around and around until you get whatever length you want for your skirt. So I will do that and I'll come back and I'll tell you guys how many rows I ended up with. And then we can start working our little shell stitches at the bottom of the skirt. And then we'll be done. So yeah, I'll call you guys later. So I finished my waist and I ended up doing 10 rows. That was enough for me. And now I'm going to start working the bottom. To fasten off on your rows, you can just find where you started and you can tell by just counting and making sure that everything has the same amount, or you can just find the big hole that we made and then find your way up. And then I just slip stitch into the next stitch, chain one, cut off a long tail so you can sew it in, pull through, and now we can start working our bottom part. So to work the bottom, first we're just going to connect our yarn anywhere. I like to connect in a corner because it just makes it easier when ending your round. And then we're going to pull our yarn through and we're going to be working single crochets all the way around. And instead of working one single crochet into the gap, one into the stitch after, we're going to be working two into the gap, one into the stitch after, two in the gap, one into the... So basically you can work three into the gaps if you don't feel like working into these double crochets here. So yeah, I'm just going to work my single crochets all the way around. And then I'll meet you guys whenever I'm done so we can start the ruffles. So just finished the single crochets all the way across the bottom, and here's how the skirt's looking. You can stop here if you'd like and have this be your skirt, or you can add the little frillies at the bottom, which is super duper cute. So to do that, just continuing where you left off, chain two, and into the stitch that you slip stitched in, make 5 double crochets all in the same stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we counted that chain two as a double crochet. So in the next stitch you're going to do a single crochet, and then now you're going to do 6 double crochets. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys can't see. It should look like this. Let me move the camera up a little bit. Sorry about the background. I am on my bed. But now we're going to do a single crochet into the next stitch, and it's kind of hard to see because you just worked a bunch of stitches into one, so it can kind of overlap that next stitch. But if you just pull it, you can see it right there. Do a single crochet and then do 6 double crochets into the next stitch. And we're just going to be repeating this pattern of 6 double crochets in one stitch, 1 single crochet into the next stitch until you get to the end. And it's a little bit tedious, but it makes the skirt just look fabulous. So yeah, just be patient. Just keep in mind that you're making yourself a skirt. Like, think about that. You're hand making yourself a skirt. So really just take your time, put on a show, enjoy the process, because soon you're going to have a really cute skirt that you can wear wherever you want. So yeah, I'll meet you guys whenever I'm done, and then I'll show you guys how to fasten off. Then we will make the drawstring, sew in our loose ends, and give her a try on. So yeah, I'll see you guys on the other side. So now we're done, and here is what the skirt is looking like. To fasten off, all you have to do is, I worked into that last row with 6 double crochets, and now I'm going to go into my last stitch, which is also the stitch I slip stitched in, or the stitch I started in, but it doesn't matter. Just go into the last stitch or the first stitch with a single crochet, a really tight one, then chain 1, cut off, pull through, fasten off, and now we're going to make our drawstring. So I don't have an exact number of how long I make my drawstring, but I'm going to make it right now and I'll tell you guys how much I chained. But yeah, just chain however much you think you'll need. Let me tell you guys how much I'm going to end up chaining. So I'll be back when I'm done with that. So I chained 200. Now I'm going to cut that, fasten off, and then to put it into skirt, you just find the front and find where you want your drawstring to go. I kind of like mine in the middle, more close to the top, so I'm going to go with right here, and I'm going to pull my yarn through there, and then I'm just going to start weaving the drawstring in and out of the skirt until I reach around this stitch. So let me show you. So I'm just kind of making sure to keep it on the same row, just kind of pulling it through different holes. And I did it on the 3rd row going down. That's where my place, I did it, yeah, on the 4th. So on the 4th gap is where I placed mine. So I'm just going to keep going with this. Okay, so now I'm just kind of pulling it so that it's even. And this is totally optional, but I'm feeling a little experimental. So I'm going to use these little beads at the end because I feel like it would look super cute. And I kind of want to test it out. And then I'm just going to kind of tie it into itself. So go down and tie it with a double knot. It's not good explaining, but I honestly don't know what I'm doing. I kind of had a idea and wanted to act on it. Okay, boom, that's cute. Then let me. Okay, I like that. That's cute. Okay, I added a cute little ball. Let me do it to this side. Okay, so now we can start weaving in our loose ends. And I like to use a darning needle for this. But you can use your hook. And I'm just going to I'll show you guys how to do it with the darning needle and how to do it with the hook. So with the darning needle, you just go into random stitches. And I like to go in between the stitches, pull it, stretch it, and then you can just cut it. And then with a hook, you'll just, again, go into random stitches with your hook. I like to go on the inside so that it's a little more seamless. And you can grab that yarn and pull all the way through and cut it. And once you have sewn in all your loose ends, the skirt is complete and you can give her a little try on. I'm going to try mine on right now. So I will see you guys in a second.
I hope you guys enjoyed that tutorial. I hope it was explanatory and easy to follow and beginner friendly. Let me know if you guys think it's beginner friendly so that I can put it in the title.
Oh my goodness, I just want to show you guys, look how beautiful she looks. Like, I am so obsessed with this little bead detailing, but I just love this skirt pattern, and I'm so glad I got to show you guys it. But yeah, anyways, cue the try on, cue the try on. I don't think y'all are ready to see this skirt. Okay, so here is the finished skirt. It is so adorable. You can see my underwear. Sorry about that, but here she is. Go ahead and give her a try on because I know y'all look so good with it. But yes, I absolutely adore this pattern in this skirt. And oh my goodness, like I love this skirt so much. If you guys make this, please tag me because I really want to see the colors you guys make and how y'all's turn out. But yeah, I love it so much. I hope you guys love it as much as I do because I'm literally so obsessed. Like the little beads really just, you know what I mean? But yeah, cue the outro.
But yeah, you reached the end of the video. We're done. We made a skirt. How do we feel? Do we love it? Do we hate it? Are we confused? If you guys have any questions, comment them. I'll try my best to answer them. And as I always say, if you guys see anybody with questions that you know how to answer that I didn't answer, please do me a favor and answer them. Because sometimes I don't see the comments, or sometimes I don't know how to answer them, or sometimes I don't know the answer. So I kind of leave y'all on red. But I love you guys. We're almost at 10K. And I think I want to do a giveaway soon. So stay tuned for that. Let me know what you guys think about that.